Hey, what do you know? It's Nemesis Prime time again, and just like I was going to say hinted at, but it wasn't really a hint, it was more overtly stating. So, just like I overtly stated in the last video, here we are looking at this. This is, I forget what company makes this, it'll probably be in the video title, but this is a knockoff of Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime in Nemesis Prime colors. This KO company knocked it off and made it in virtually every color you could possibly want except Toxitron. But anyway, here we have the Nemesis, and this thing is great. It's weird in that there are some things that it does better than the official figure, and then a few things that are kind of like, maybe not as good. Overall, very glad I got this, because, I enjoyed 86 Optimus Prime. It's a very good Optimus Prime, but I don't collect Optimus Primes, or at least I don't go out of my way to collect Optimus Primes, so Nemesis. Maybe we'll get an official Nemesis at some point, I don't know, but for now, I've got this, and this was way cheaper. 86 Prime is a Commander class figure because he comes with that trailer that I don't care about at all. That's like a 90-ish before tax US dollar Optimus Prime. This thing, $30. Doesn't come with a trailer, and I could not be happier. I get why people like that stuff, why it's important to some people, but it is not important to me, and I prefer to not pay a bunch of money for a figure that I could get for possibly cheaper if it doesn't come with a bunch of accessories that I don't care about. But anyway, point is, Nemesis Colors, Studio Series 86 Prime, and it's just the Studio Series 86 figure. From what I can tell, from what I can remember, because I don't have the original to do any comparisons with, it's just that. There's nothing new engineering-wise or sculpt-wise on this guy. It's the exact same figure in black and gray and silver with the red windows. And the teal for the waist section and the lights up there. But yeah, still got the giant booty nappy on his back there. This thing, I still don't understand why that's a thing, but still got it. Comes together the same way, transformation's exactly the same posability, but, well, one improvement that I do want to go over, these smokestacks. Look at this. I can do this, and they don't move. They do move, but they're not extremely loose. They still tab in to this spot right here, but it takes a lot more effort to rotate them, which you could argue might be a bad thing. I would not argue that. And as before, I'm pretty sure it's to keep them from getting snapped off when you bring the arms out in certain directions and stuff. This is a marked improvement over the original one that I had, because now these smokestacks will stay in place unless I want to move them. Another thing that's an improvement is the heels have been installed correctly. Yay to that. There are some things that make this apparent that it is probably a knockoff. One being the thigh swivels were extremely loose out of the box, and the knees were actually pretty loose too, but I went in and tightened some screws, and that helped. The thigh swivels, though, they're still pretty loose. I can't really do too much about that. The forward and backward motion, it's not like floppy, but it's looser than I would have liked. There's also, it's kind of hard to see, but there is some kind of paint blemishing on the gas canister on the side of the leg there. Not on this side, so it's just this side, but got that. And also one of his antenna, this one you can see is fine. This one moves pretty easily. This one, it's like moving the head before it's moving. It still kind of softly hits that spot where it stops, so it's not too hard to get it to line up, but if I'm not careful, it's pretty easy to bump that one out of the way, or out of alignment, which it's not ideal, but like it's not terrible. And also the shin panels, they don't really tab in at all. Like they go over the tabs, but they just don't stay there. That said, and it's the same on both legs, but that said, they hold in place. They're not flopping out or anything like that. They're not gonna come out on their own, but they are, if you're not careful, if you bump this, it'll come out of place. All things considered, not terrible. Oh, one other thing too, this backpack doesn't really tab in. It's mostly the friction on the hinge that's keeping it in place, so this doesn't really lock in. Not the worst thing, again, because as you can see, it's not flopping out or anything like that, but you can bump it out of the way if you're not paying attention. But like, again, considering that this is a $30 version of a arguably $90 figure, I don't mind a couple of little nitpicks here and there, and based on how that original figure was done, like, it's kind of a trade-off. I feel like this has enough improvements that they make up for some of the shortcomings, and it also fixes some of the shortcomings in the original figure, but the original figure did do a few things better. Now, as for the deco, it's just Series 86 Prime in black. It's predominantly black all over the place, but then you've got the gray thighs and waist, gray stripe around the midsection, and then silver grille, silver gas can, silver smokestacks, gray panels on the shins, which I do appreciate, because in I think the 86 Prime figure, it was just blue, which is cartoon accurate. That's fine. Don't mind it. But I like that they did this here, because this definitely helps to break up some of that color. I kind of feel like maybe they could have gone in and painted the triangle line bits in his forearms too, to add just a little bit more color. Maybe do it in this kind of very powdery turquoisey color, but it's a $30 knockoff. I'm not that bothered to buy it. And hey, maybe we'll eventually get stickers for these. I don't know. But that's kind of all there is to it. I don't know what else to go over here, so we're just going to move on to the accessories, which he does come with some. He does not come with the trailer or any of the necessary trailer bits. He doesn't come with the blast effects that let the truck do the thing, which I'll admit, that's a little disappointing, because as ridiculous as those parts were, I did kind of really get a kick out of them with the official figure. But he comes with a handful of other things. He has a blast effect part done up in red. This is hard plastic, not squishy plastic, so I'll get into that in a second. Comes with an Energon axe, also in hard plastic, also in red. They both even have, they still have, it's going to be hard to see, but they do still have their little like peg holes for storage on the sides there. Not that you've got a trailer to store this stuff in, but yep, you got those. You got his blaster and his matrix. I took the matrix out just because it's easier to do it this way, but there you can see it is painted in silver and copper and that metallic-y light blue on the one side anyway. And this goes into his chest, just like with the 86 version. And these doors actually hold together a little bit better than I think my original 86 figure did too. But pull those up, pull that up, and this just pops in there, pegs onto the thing in the center. And this holds very securely. I had to use a spudger to get it out, but there he is with the matrix in the matrix chamber, and then I'm going to close that up, and now I'm never ever going to open that again. For the gun, you can do the storage thing like you could on the 86, the original figure. He's got these little tabs that stick out on either side of the backpack. There's a slot on either side of the gun, right above the magazine, and it can just tab in there to store. And that works. It worked for the 86 figure, so of course it works here too. But you can do that, or you can put it in his hand, in which case you want to curl up the fingers, of which they are articulated, and he still has that one extremely thick index finger. Curl up the fingers, plug this into his hand, plug it in, there we go. And he actually does hold this very securely. I think the peg, either the peg is a little bit thicker, or the peg hole is a little bit smaller, but he holds it very securely. Very, very securely. Now, for the blast effect. Bit of warning for anyone who gets this figure and wants to use the blast effect. It's not anything that you need to be super cautious about. Just be mindful, because this is hard plastic, which means there is no give. So you are going to have to really kind of force this over the peg. What I ended up doing was I just kind of gripped very close to the end and just kind of twisted and twisted and twisted until it eventually worked in some of the plastic inside that peg hole so that it would actually plug into the end of the rifle. It still doesn't like to go on all the way, but it goes on enough to hold, and now he's blasting, I don't know, presumably because of how this is just your typical blast effect part, only in solid plastic, which, you know, this is probably why they don't do these in solid. Presumably he'd be able to use other blast effect parts too. For the Energon axe, this is actually a marked improvement over the one that I had, because if you remember from that video, my Energon axe was kind of mismolded out of the box. It was like curved to one, it was like bent to one side. This bit wasn't flat. It was kind of a mess. I could put it on the hand, but it would be like crooked off to the side, and it just didn't look great. This one is molded. I don't want to say perfectly, because it's got a little bit of like weird powdery texture on part of it. And again, you've got like not just the mold flashing there, but like it's hard plastic, so you don't have as much give as you did with the squishy plastic one. But it is better in that it is shaped more like it's supposed to be. And you can do the thing with this accessory just like you could do with Studio Series 86, the official one, except, you know, here it's better because my axe isn't deformed. Curl up the fingers, flip the fist in, and close this up, and you've got that peg. This just pegs over the stump there, and there he has the Energon axe. And here you can also see that it is not going to one side in a horribly obvious way. So I very much appreciate how much better that Energon axe is. One other thing I do want to mention, because I forgot to mention before, but you might have noticed as I was messing with this guy for the articulation, the butterfly joints are not as snug as they are on the official figure. You can still do the forward and backward motion. The backward motion is a lot better than the forward motion, but the forward motion is really easy to kind of move them out of place unintentionally. Again, they're not flopping, but they're just a little bit looser than I would like. But still, you got that same posability and all the other good stuff. It's just, you know, this being solid plastic creates a little bit of a problem, but I do really like having a functional Energon axe, and the rifle's always cool. And because this is just Studio Series 86 Prime, he's pretty much the same height. So we've got Legacy Scourge, air quotes, and Holiday Prime. He is well taller and thicker than either of them. He is also noticeably taller and bulkier than Studio Series Leader Class Optimus Prime. He's not really a Nemesis Prime, but with very, very minimal customizing, I can turn him into one, which is why I got him. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll get around to it someday. And of course, he's gigantic next to Timelines Prime, because Timelines Prime is kind of disappointingly tiny. Really cool figure. I eventually maybe will do a video on him, but this is definitely tiny. And one more time, just bringing back Reactivate Soundwave, because as I said in the last video, I'm going to continue screaming about how good this figure is, because not enough people seem to believe me or think that. Alright, now let's prep this guy for transformation. As I'm doing that, I've got a coffee, I've got a Patreon, links to both down in the description as well as at the end of the video. Otherwise, you could always support the channel with the typical YouTube stuff of like, comment, share, subscribe. Now, I'm going to take his weapons away, curl in his fingers, and you want to curl in the fingers so that they go inside the thumb. That'll give you the room you need. Then you can pop open this outer door, swing this whole thing around, and close it back up. You want to make sure it's closed all the way, because there is like a little tab in there and everything. And we'll start on the legs and then move on to everything else. To start, gonna fold the butt skirts up just a little bit. Those will probably come down later, but for now it's fine. First and foremost, don't want to forget to do this, because this was definitely a thing I talked about in the 86 Prime video, but it's important here too. He's got these this like slot and tab thing on the inside of both feet. You want to get those out first. You do not want to forget to pull those out, because if you do forget and make the mistake I did with 86 Prime and try to force the feet to collapse without moving these, you'll start stressing plastic. So get those out of the way first, then collapse the toes and the heels, and then these can just come back down to sit against the side of the leg. So again, fold in heel, fold down toe, fold that down, and there we go. Going to take these panels, open them up, which is very easy on this, and this will rotate all the way around, and it will tab into the side of the leg. There's actually a slot there, tab there, so that will roll around and tab into place. Then you can peg the legs together, and that's it for that portion of the legs. Also want to fold his little diaper thing back. Probably want to do that before pegging the legs together. There we go. And I'll bring these back down for now, but they will come back up later. These bits at the back of the leg, the back of the calf, pop up, and these do actually tab in, and these will also peg into the backs of the thighs. And these things, we'll leave these for now. These will swing up and around later, though. Take the backpack and pull it out. As we pull that out, we can get these little flaps back here to fold down. Then we can hold this back a little bit more. This piece here will fold up, and that will allow these pieces to fold out. And these just fold out. These pieces here will fold out. And these will eventually come up, but we're just going to leave those like that for now. Again, this piece can fold down. I'm going to push from the underside here to push the grill out, and then push more to get the rest of this out to give you the proper grill. And now this can just kind of sit down for now. These flaps on the side will pull up. That will allow the upper body to do a Classics Prime and rotate a full 360. Again, because KO, these bits kind of are getting caught a little bit, but just gotta hold those in place that they don't get wrenched around. Rotate that around, and now these pieces, these flaps, come back down. The grill section here comes up, and it is very tricky to get on this. It's just in there really good. So I am going to have to use a spudger. So I'm rotating the waist so I can get a spudger in here and just kind of... There we go. I'm getting that going now, but before we tuck that in, I am going to pull the arms out just so that the smokestacks are out of the way, and want to rotate the head around. And it will rotate around, and the ears should just fold forward a bit, but you can also manually fold them forward. And you want to make sure that this panel is flat, which doesn't really take much effort on this one, thankfully, because the original, it was a bit much trying to get the this piece into place. So now with all that done, this flap can come up all the way. This can settle down, and then these bits on the side will collapse in, which is trickier to do than is preferable. Bring those in. So now it's like that. Before I forget, because I forgot to do this last time I was doing this, you want to rotate the waist 180 degrees. Now I'm going to bring these butt flaps back up, and the pelvis assembly will basically disconnect from the front skirt section. So this whole thing will come up, but it's not going to come up all the way. I'm just doing, well, it will come up all the way eventually. I'm doing this so that it'll be in the right spot to come up, but we got to do some other stuff first. So I'm just going to leave that down at like a 45-degree angle. Now we can do the arms. So I'm going to bring these back to how they were oriented. These come down, and they do rotate into place and do an Optimus Prime, but first what you want to do is rotate the arms so that the elbow joint for robot mode is pointing out, and that lines this whole thing up. And then you rotate the elbow backwards, and that will form the side of the truck. And then this comes in, and this will peg into this little flap back here. But additionally, there are these little tabs on the inside of, or not tabs, these slots or holes on the insides of the forearms that'll actually go over these chunky tabs just behind these midriff flaps. Bring that in and make sure everything gets pushed into place, and it will peg in. And you'll also possibly notice that the midriff flaps have this little divot on the side, and that's for the little cylinder peg for the hand stump, I guess, to sit when in vehicle mode. So again, just going to bring that in, tab that in there, make sure that's tabbed in down here, because that is important. Now, this can come up, and these bits on the sides of the backs of the flaps that were the backs of the cabs will come up, and they'll go inside these little grooves on the whatever the insides of the forearms. They're actually they actually snap in place. They don't just peg like they did on the Studio Series 86 figure. Almost done, but before we get the front situated, we're going to take care of these canisters on the sides. So you want to rotate this down, and this piece just kind of slides out from here. So this rotates around. This piece on the end will rotate 180 degrees, and one of them, I think maybe even both, have a tendency to pop off when I rotate them. So I just kind of pull it towards the this flap to keep that from happening. But this will come up, and there is a tab here, which is kind of hard to see, but there's a tab here that goes into the slot on the side of the thigh. And this tab up here will go into this little slot on the forearm piece that's now tucked inside where the truck cab is supposed to be. So bring this up and bring this in. Just like with the Studio Series 86 figure, it does not hold together the best, but it's fine. And this piece is the same deal. Bring it down, rotate this piece around, and then bring that in, and this will peg under the forearm. This whole assembly will kind of accordion up and in. This piece here will come down, and there are these little tabs on the sides here that the wheels will peg over. So you want to bring this down. It's on a double hinge. You want to bring it down on the lowest hinge from this angle, the one closest to the truck body. Bring that in, and the wheels will tab in, and that locks all that in place. Now these flaps come up and will curl around, swing up, and tab in to close up the sides of the cab. For whatever reason, the upper part of this double hinge on both of these flaps is very stiff, but bring it up, then bring the grill up, and that will sit in there. Finally, rotate the wheels that were in the legs 180 degrees so that they're on the outside now and can actually roll. And you can also see some signs of this being a KO. There's mold flash on the tire there. And there we go. That is the Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime transformation on a $30 knockoff. That's, again, showing signs of being a knockoff and how it doesn't really want to stay together as well as I would like. It also costs a fraction of what the original figure did. But anyway, there we go. There is the truck mode, and the truck mode is, if I'm being honest, kind of boring. I don't mean to imply that it's bad, because I don't think it is bad. It's just, in Nemesis colors, it is kind of dull. Because the Studio Series 86 original version, you had some blue in the back, red in the front. It mixed things up a little bit. Here, it's just kind of one big solid mass of black with a little bit of silver in a few places, and then also the red windows. So it's not as broken up. You could argue that's fine because it's a truck, and trucks aren't necessarily super colorful all the time. I know some are, I'm just saying. I don't know what they could have done. Maybe add some turquoise to like these bits here or something like that. Maybe do a little bit around here. Maybe do a little bit on the sides of the legs here. Something. I don't know. But at the same time, as I've said many times during this video, this is a $30 knockoff, so I'm not super pressed about it. I'm just hoping that maybe we get like a sticker set or something in the future that addresses some of these lacking colors. You do have that nice silver on the rims and the tanks, and of course around front you've got all the silver for the grille and the fender, and that grille is not sitting in quite right. Again, probably down to it being a KO. Silver for the headlights, you got a little bit of that turquoise for the, I don't know, fog lights or something like that. Silver for the side mirrors, and then of course you got those turquoisey lights above the cab that were visible in robot mode, and now you also have the red windows for the side windows in addition to the front windows, which are also done with that translucent red plastic over like a silver thing so that they show up a little bit better. It's kind of a dull deco for the truck mode, and I am fine with that. I'm just glad to have this mold in a Nemesis Prime, even if it's unofficial. And the mold, as I said in the last video, like the core, or not the last video, the video for the official Studio Series 86 Prime. It's a wonderful Prime figure. The transformation is great and very clever, and I really do like it a lot. This is just that, only maybe a little jank, and in a color scheme that I really, really wanted, so I'm glad to have that. Maybe someday we'll get the official version of this. Probably not, but maybe, and that will make me very happy. But before we wrap this up, gotta do our quick little size comparison here. So here he is with a version of Siege Prime, and in truck mode, he is bigger. I don't know if I'd say significantly bigger, though I do think that this truck is probably cleaner in a lot of ways, just because the Siege mold is full of greeblies and stuff, but they are going for completely different aesthetics, so I'm not bothered about that. Even though he's missing the trailer, the cab on its own is bigger. Bigger than a, what was this, Voyager? I think this is a Voyager, so yeah, bigger than that. And that's enough of my nonsense and talking in circles about this thing. But yeah, this is just, as I said, it's the Studio Series 86 figure, only in Nemesis colors, and that's enough to make me happy for $30. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to let me know what you think of this guy or the Studio Series 86 mold, although I think we all agree that it is an excellent mold. But whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. Said that weird. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching, and I don't have another Nemesis Prime next to me to be like, here's what the next one's going to be, but I can tell you for certain that the next video is going to be another Nemesis Prime. Shocker, right?